Thank you, Mark. It's been a real privilege for me to be here at this conference and meet so many interesting and inspiring people. I'm going to talk about someone who has inspired me all my life. Nobel laureate Rabindranath Tagore is best known as a poet and philosopher. The main collection of poetry which won him the Nobel Prize for Literature in 1913 was Tagore's English Gitanjali. It was a collection of Tagore's own prose translations of his Bengali poems. This is one of the poems from the collection. Tagore had actually set the Bengali version of this poem to music. Even today, it is one of the first songs most Bengali children learn. Alo amar alo yogo alo bhuban bhara alo nayon dhoa amar alo hriday hara nache alo nache o bhai amar praner kache baje alo baje o bhai hriday binar majhe জাগে আকাশ ছোটে বাতাস হাসে সকল ধারা আলো আমার আলো গো আলো ভুবন ভরা আলো নয়ন ধোয়া আমার আলো হৃদয় হারা আলোর স্রোতে পাল তুলেছে হাজার প্রজাপতি আলোর ঢেউয়ে উঠল মেতে মল্লিকা মালতী মেঘে মেঘে শোনায় ভাই যায় না মানে গোনা পাতায় পাতায় হাসি ও ভাই পুলক রাশি রাশি সুর নদীর কুল ডুবেছে সুধা নিঝর ঝরা আলো আমার আলো গো আলো ভুবন ভরা আলো নয়ন ধোয়া আমার আলো হৃদয় হারা Tagore was born on 7 May 1861 at Jorashako, the family home. This year is his 150th birth anniversary. Tagore grew up at Jorashako, surrounded by literature, painting, music, and theatre. Some of Tagore's brothers and set up their own private theatre there. In 1878, Tagore's father sent him to study in England. However, he was called back to India after a year and a half. His fairly conservative father discovered that he had taken a greater interest in social dances than in law. So Tagore returned to Jorashako in 1880 at the age of 19. He found that his elder brother Jyotirindranath had written a play called Manmoyi. Rabindranath wrote a song for the play which was suitable for a group dance by the actors and actresses. He went on to choreograph the dance based on the social dances he had learned in England. This was the birth of the Tagore dance form. Tagore had begun setting his own words to music at the age of 16. Initially, he used the tunes of the Indian classical songs he had learned in his childhood. Soon he started to experiment with variations of his own. To the Indian classical tunes, he added notes which would be regarded as taboo by the purists. In this view, these notes would enrich the expression of his lyrics. As well as poetry, Tagore also wrote several plays, some of which incorporated songs based on his poetry. By the late 1800s, Tagore was well known in his native Bengal. In December 1901, Tagore founded a school at Shantiniketan. He wanted it to be in the model of an ancient Indian tapovana or hermitage. He wanted it to be close to nature, to create an almost family-like atmosphere, and for the students to achieve higher truth. Even today, the classes are held outdoors, under the trees. The children move between the teachers, who have a fixed place for their classes. Along with the usual academic subjects, children are exposed to music and dance, various crafts and acting. They play games in the afternoon. Tagore thought that we are born with only one piece of advice from God: express yourself. So the children are allowed to express themselves through tune and rhythm, lines and colors, dance and acting. Past students, including economics Nobel laureate Amartya Sen, film director Satyajit Ray, and former Prime Minister Indira Gandhi. Perhaps this should encourage today's policymakers to revisit Tagore's pioneering educational approach. Tagore initially traveled to raise money for the school. After winning the Nobel Prize, Tagore received invitations from all over the world. This photo was taken when he came to Berlin in 1930. Through his travels, he learned various musical styles but combined them to create his own tunes. To him, the words of his lyrics were the most important. In order to enhance their beauty, he even created his own rhythms to match the rhythms of his lyrics. Tagore wrote over 2,200 songs overall, two of which are now the national anthems of India and Bangladesh. The development of the Tagore's dance form was similar in many ways to the development of Tagore songs. However, it was only the late 1920s that Tagore gave more attention to it. This was partly because Tagore first had to establish dance as a respected art form in Bengal. During the 19th century, the reputation of dance had fallen dramatically, so that it was associated more with prostitution than with an art form. It was unthinkable for any dance to be performed by the children of decent people. Yet Tagore had taken part in social dances during his first visit to England and discovered that these were not only quite fashionable but also fun. He had also seen various classical and folk dances in different parts of India. When he first included dance as one of the subjects in the Shantiniketan curriculum, he explained to outsiders that the pupils were exercising to drum rhythms. Tagore had to overcome considerable resistance to establish dance as a respectable art to be seen on stage in theatres by middle-class intellectual Bengalis. We should acknowledge Tagore's contribution to dance not only for his unique Tagore dance but also for this social revolution. During his travels, Tagore began to identify elements from different dance forms, including those from outside India, which he thought could help to overcome the linguistic barrier between his words and his non-Bengali audiences. Tagore went on to use dance to express the inner meaning of his poetry. with the help of students and teachers at his school in Shantiniketan. He took elements from different dance styles and refined them to create his own, very distinctive style. Tagore felt very strongly about the importance of expressing thoughts and feelings in physical movement. For example, he had observed that his adopted granddaughter, aged 2.5, tries to speak to me with the whole of her body. Meeting me on the boat, she expressed her delight in the form of a dance of her own design. As she danced, her speech was through her whole body. Life is sweet, she wanted to say. The world is beautiful, but having as yet no language of words, her small mind stirred to its depths, broke up into a complex movement of dance. Her whole body moved as if to music. It is a function of the body, not merely to carry out vital actions so that we live and move, but so that we may express, and not with the face alone, but with the legs, the arms, and the hands. This explains why Tagore placed greater emphasis in his dance form on the whole body movement, rather than the intricate details of some dance forms which focus on, for example, facial expression or hand gesture. Let me show you the choreography Tagore devised from his poem Jhulon. The poem is recited for us by Supriyo Tagore, a great grandnephew of Rabindranath Tagore.
ঝুলন আমি পরাণের সাথে খেলিব আজিকে মরণ খেলা নিশিত বেলা সঘন বরষা গগন আধার হেলো পারিধারে কাঁদে চারিধার ভীষণ রঙ্গে ভবতরঙ্গে ভাসাই ভেলা বাহির হয়েছি স্বপ্ন শয়ন করিয়া হেলা রাত্রে বেলা ওগো পবনে গগনে সাগরে আজিকে কি কল্লোল দে দোল দোল পশ্চাৎ হতে হা হা করে হাসি মত্ত ঝটিকা ঠেলা দেয় আসি যেন এ লক্ষ যক্ষ শিশুর অট্টরোল আকাশে পাতালে পাগলে মাতালে হট্টগোল দে দোল দোল আজি জাগিয়া উঠিয়া পরাণ আমার বসিয়া আছে বুকের কাছে থাকিয়া থাকিয়া উঠিছে কাঁপিয়া ধরিছে আমার বক্ষ চাপিয়া নিঠুর নিবিড় বন্ধন সুখে হৃদয়ে নাচে ত্রাসে উল্লাসে পরাণ আমার ব্যাকুলি আছে বুকের কাছে হায় এতকাল আমি রেখেছি তারেই যতন ভরে শয়ন পরে ব্যথা পাছে লাগে দুঃখ পাছে জাগে নিশিদিন তাই বহু অনুরাগে বাসর শয়ন করেছি রচন কুসুম থরে দুয়ার রধিয়া রেখেছেন তার গোপন ঘরে যতন ভরে কত সোহাগ করেছি চুম্বন করে নয়ন পাতে স্নেহের সাথে শুনাইছি তারে মাথা রাখি পাশে কত প্রিয় নাম মৃদু মধু ভাসে গুঞ্জর গান করিয়াছি গান জ্যোৎস্না রাতে যা কিছু মধুর দিয়েছিল তার দুখানি হাতে স্নেহের সাথে শেষে সুখের শয়নে শ্রান্ত পরাণ আলস রসে আবেশ বসে পরশ করিলে জাগে না সে আর কুসুমের হার লাগে গুরু ভার ঘুমে জাগরণে মিশি একাকার নিশি দিবসে বেদনাবিহীন অসার বিরাগ মরমে পশি আবেশ বসে ঢালি মধুরে মধুর মধুরে আমার হারাই বুঝি পাইনে খুঁজি বাসরের দীপ নিবে নিবে আসি ব্যাকুল নয়নে হেরি চারিপাশে শুধু রাশি রাশি শুষ্ক কুসুম হয়েছে পুঁজি অতল স্বপ্ন সাগরে ডুবিয়া মরি যে জুঝি কাহারে খুঁজি তাই ভেবেছি আজকে খেলিতে হইবে নূতন খেলা রাত্রিবেলা মরণ দোলায় ধরি রশি গাছি বসিব দুজনেই বড় কাছাকাছি ঝঞ্ঝা আসিয়া অষ্ট হাসিয়া মারিবে ঠেলা আমাকে প্রাণীতে খেলিব দুজনে ঝুলনো খেলা নিশীথ বেলা দে দৌল দৌল দে দৌল দৌল এ মহাসাগরে তুফান তৌল বধুরে আমার পেয়েছি আবার ভরেছে কৌল প্রিয়ারে আমার তুলেছে জাগায় প্রলয় রৌল বক্ষ শনিতে উঠেছে আবার কি হিল্লোল ভিতরে বাহিরে জেগেছে আমার কি কল্লোল উড়ে কন্তল উড়ে অঞ্চল উড়ে বনমালা বায়ু চঞ্চল বাজে কঙ্কন বাজে কিঙ্কিনি মত্ত বৌল দে দৌল দৌল আয়রে ঝঞ্ঝা পরানো বধূর আবরণ রাশি করিয়া দে দূর করে লুণ্ঠন অবগুণ্ঠন বসন ঘোল দে দৌল দৌল প্রাণীকে আমাকে মুখোমুখি আজ চিনি লব দহে ছাড়ি ভয়ে লাজ বক্ষে বক্ষে পরশিব দহে ভাবে বিভোল দে দৌল দৌল স্বপ্ন টুটিয়া বাহিরিছে আজ দুটো পাগল দে দৌল দৌল
In the 1930s, Tagore created 3 dance dramas, Chandalika, Chitrangada and Shyama. These dance dramas represent a unique combination of literature, songs and dances. They bring a three-dimensional image to Tagore's work. We filmed Chandalika in Shantiniketan in December. It has not been released yet, but I thought you might to see the first public screening of a clip from it.
জলো দাও আমায় জলো দাও কল্যাণ হোক তব কল্যাণ হোক তব
Tagore wrote Chandalika in 1933. He was concerned that the caste system would survive independence from British rule and limit the prospect of post-independence India. Tagore would have been pleased to see that the Hindu caste system is illegal in India. Of course, old prejudice do not always disappear so easily, and social prejudice is still an issue in many parts of the world. As you have been seen in the clip, the action is performed by dancers while the dialogue is sung. It is almost a cross between ballet and opera, but it is a unique art form even for Asian countries. Tagore's dance dramas are very popular among the 230 million Bengali speakers around the world. They are staged quite often. However, they are hardly known in other cultures. Our film versions use digital techniques to help these works cross cultural barriers, as Tagore had intended them to. You could probably have understood that was going on without the subtitles, because the Tagore dance form relies on whole body language. However, since we are using the medium of film, we have added subtitles. We finished filming Chitrangada a couple of weeks ago. We are still editing and translating it, so unfortunately I can only show you these production stills. Tagore created Chitrangada in 1936. Chitrangada is about how a princess reconciles feminism and femininity. Again, Tagore deals with a theme which remains universal even today. The first film we made was Shyama, which was not only Tagore's last dance drama, but also Tagore's last major work for the stage. He created it in 1939. Shyama was the culmination of 6 decades of Tagore's interest in poetry, music, and dance. It was also an allegorical and artistic critique of the world as Tagore saw it at a difficult time. He was shocked by the sectarian violence of pre-independence India, the rise of nationalism in Europe, and the start of the Second World War. Here is a clip from Shyama. It begins with Shyama falling in love with a foreign merchant who has been falsely imprisoned. different dance styles in the performances of each character in Shama. If you want, and if there is time, I can illustrate 3 of these styles for you during the discussion. During the research for my doctoral thesis, I realized that the beauty of Tagore's original concept is in danger of disappearing. This is why I wanted to preserve authentic versions of the dance dramas on film. It's also why we have filmed all 3 dance dramas on a real stage in Shantiniketan against a black background as Tagore had intended. You may have realized from the clips that Tagore's dance dramas probably inspired what are now known all over the world as Bollywood films. Many of the pioneers of the Indian film industry in Mumbai were originally from Bengal. Some of the songs used in Bollywood films were based on Tagore songs. Of course, Bollywood films are usually much more escapist and lightweight than Tagore's dance dramas. The other advantage of making film versions of these works is that we can use digital distribution to bring them to global audiences. With the help of friends and well-wishers, we have now 8 language versions of Shama, the native languages of around 1.23 billion people. The film has been available for video on demand worldwide since the end of 2009, soon after its showing at the Calcutta Film Festival. A free version of Shama is available online as well. The soundtrack album and a book of our English translation are available through online stores. We'll publish the other translations in time, as well as a book about the Tagore dance form. This morning we have published Shama on Vodo, a platform which was developed with the support of the UK Arts Council and which helps films to be shared globally. People can make donations to support the future careers of the creators behind the works on the platform. I know there are quite a few artists and creators among you, so you may want to look into it. This year, not only the Indian and Bangladesh governments but also UNESCO are celebrating Tagore's 150th birth anniversary. In this context, the films should help people all over the world to discover Tagore's dance dramas. None of this would have been possible without the internet. The internet has finally given artists and creators like me an opportunity to cross cultural barriers. As you can see from what is probably Tagore's best known poem, he would no doubt have embraced the internet. Sadly, a lot of politicians are trying to pass laws to break down the internet world into fragments by narrow domestic walls. The clear stream of reason does seem to have lost its way into the dreary desert sand of dead habit. As recent events in the Middle East illustrate, people's minds are nonetheless laid forward into ever-widening thought and action. So perhaps the internet will allow today's younger generation to awake into that heaven of freedom, in spite of certain politicians. In any case, I hope that our Tagore dance film trilogy will reach enough people to help Tagore's dance dramas and his humanist message achieve the international recognition they deserve. All 3 works are based on universal themes: love, sacrifice, prejudice, feminism, and femininity. They also contain messages which remain as relevant to the state of the world today as they did when Tagore created them, maybe they are even more relevant today. Perhaps Tagore's dance dramas could become as well known as Puccini's operas or Shakespeare's plays. I certainly know a young and enthusiastic team in Shantiniketan who would be happy to perform Tagore's dance dramas anywhere in the world. Thank you.